When you think you're safe in your own room, your own home, that might be the very moment you're being watched. The stories you're about to hear aren't movie scripts, they're real experiences. Moments that seemed normal, turned into inescapable nightmares. And if you're alone right now, make sure all your doors are locked. Story 1. The Woman in the Closet. There are eyes you should never look back at, because once they know you've seen them, they never look away. My name is Garrett, and this story happened when I was a sophomore in college. After my freshman year, I didn't get a dorm assignment, so I had to find off-campus housing. I ended up moving into a kind of co-op housing, 3 big houses close together sharing a kitchen and living area. Not ideal, but cheap enough for me to accept. I had a bike, so commuting wasn't a big deal. Most people here were students like me, except for a few older folks going back to school. And her. A woman in her 50s or older, gray hair walked with a limp like her spine had been injured. She lived in the house across from mine, always silent, always staring into space as if nothing around her even existed. But what gave me chills was how she kept showing up in places she wasn't supposed to be, like the shared kitchen in my house. She'd just stand there, quiet, watching, and I swear more than once she looked straight at me. Not like zoning out, she looked directly at me. I asked some of my housemates. They said, just ignore her. Everyone does. But no one could tell me who she was. It was like all the info stopped at rumors. One night while I was studying in my room, I happened to glance out the window and froze. She was standing in the middle of the street, not on the sidewalk, not moving, just standing there, looking up at my window. I panicked, but not knowing what else to do. I waved, a dumb, polite gesture, and I instantly regretted it. She started bouncing like she was thrilled, then ran back to her house. From that moment on, I knew. She knew exactly where my room was. Things escalated quickly. One time I opened my door at midnight and she was right there. Said nothing. Just turned and walked away. In those moments, I no longer felt safe in that house. Then the worst night came. I lost my room key. The house used to be an old hotel, so each room had its own lock. I was always careful, didn't want anyone getting in. But one night I woke up to a soft thudding sound coming from the closet. At first I thought mice, but the sound was more like a person shifting. I crept closer, heart pounding, air heavy. I yanked the closet door open and screamed. She was in there. Folded into herself, hair, a mess, a necktie of mine wrapped around her neck like a noose. In her hand, a kitchen knife. Her eyes wide open, rolled back, pure white. I barely had time to yell before she lunged. I fought her. She was thin, but madness made her strong. I shouted for help. My housemates rushed in, helped me hold her down until police arrived. They arrested her and found my missing room key in her coat pocket. A few weeks later, the truth came out. She was the sister of the property manager, a severely mentally ill woman placed in the co-op for convenience. No one knew. No one was told. They kept it hidden like it didn't matter. I still shudder thinking of all those times she stared at me. How I thought I was safe just because my door had a lock. How I, like an idiot, waved at the nightmare and invited it into my life. I'm about to graduate, but I know one thing for sure. I'll never be able to remember my college years without thinking about those hollow eyes staring from the closet that night. Story 2. The Girlfriend and the Cameras. You might think you're alone, but that doesn't mean you're not being watched. I've lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood with my husband Benjamin for over 20 years. Now that all our kids are grown and out of the house, we spend most of our time sitting on the porch, listening to music, reading, enjoying retirement, and observing what goes on around us. So when a young man moved into the house across the street, I noticed right away. He was in his 20s, drove a BMW, always wore branded button-downs, and came off as polite. He introduced himself as Quinn. A bit flashy, but well-mannered. He said he worked freelance in entertainment and dabbled in stock trading. He often made small talk with Benjamin. At first, everything seemed normal. But then, I started noticing a young blonde woman would often come to Quinn's house when he wasn't home. She had a key. She would stay for hours. At first, I thought she was his girlfriend, someone Quinn trusted. But one day I saw them having a huge fight in the yard. She was yelling, flailing her arms, almost like she wanted to hit him. That day, she stormed off tires, screeching. I assumed it was just a bad breakup, but not long after, she came back, when Quinn wasn't home. Then one night I woke up to police sirens. The whole street was lit up in flashing red and blue. Benjamin and I rushed outside, and the sight left me frozen. Quinn was being wheeled out on a stretcher, covered in blood, pale as a ghost. The blonde girl handcuffed, expressionless, not a tear. She'd not a single word, just a hollow, lifeless stare. A week later, Quinn returned home, still weak, but alive. And he told us everything. The girl's name was Ellie. They'd broken up long ago. Quinn had tried to cut ties, but Ellie refused to let go. She secretly made a copy of his spare key. She used phone tracking to monitor where he went and stalked him. Every time she came over, it was to replace the batteries in the hidden cameras she had planted around his house. Yes, she had wired his entire house for surveillance. Quinn had no idea until it all went too far. That night, after Quinn sent her a final message saying it was over, Ellie snapped. She snuck into the house while he slept and stabbed him while he was still groggy. Thankfully, the wound missed anything vital. Quinn fought back, and a neighbor called for help. Ellie confessed to everything. The only thing she didn't explain was why she did it. After that night, Quinn sold the house and left town. But before leaving, he said something that chilled me to the bone. She wasn't the only one. I'm afraid her friends know where I live too. I still look at that house every day. It's empty now, but I swear sometimes I feel like someone's watching me from behind those windows. Story 3. The party no one was invited to. I moved into my new house hoping for a fresh start. My past was full of bad decisions and a relationship that forced me to leave my old city behind. The neighborhood I live in now is peaceful, safe, mostly filled with middle-class families. But something was strange about the house next door. It was huge, large enough to house a full extended family, yet only one man lived there. I found that out when I went over to introduce myself. A young man named Damon answered the door. He was around my age, friendly, articulate. We chatted for a few minutes. He invited me over for a beer, but quickly rescinded the invitation, saying he was busy with work. When I asked what he did for a living, he just smiled and said, "Finance." But the way he looked at me, that silent pause, then the sudden change of topic, gave me a weird feeling. Over the next few weeks, I didn't see anyone going in or out of Damon's house. No friends, no family, no delivery people. His car was always parked in the driveway. I work from home, and my office window faces his house. At first, I didn't think much of it. But over time, I realized Damon was like a shadow. No one truly knew what his life was like. Then one Wednesday night around 2 a.m., I was jolted awake by blaring music. I looked outside, flashing lights, 7 cars parked in Damon's driveway. Clearly a party was happening, but no one answered when I knocked. And when I went over the next morning, the house was empty. No people, no bottles, No signs of a party except for the neatly placed shoes by the door, and a speaker playing looped recordings of fake laughter and conversation. I was about to turn around when I noticed the basement door slightly ajar. I knew I shouldn't, but I went down. The stench of bleach hit me instantly. A constant mechanical humming filled the air. Holding my breath, I crept deeper, and through a narrow crack in a door, I saw 3 men. They were older than Damon, wearing hazmat suits, rubber gloves, heavy boots, standing in silence, staring at something out of sight. I couldn't see what it was, but every instinct screamed that I had stepped into something horrific. I turned and ran. I heard a door slam behind me. I didn't look back. I vaulted the fence, slipped in through my back door, and turned off every light. Minutes later, I peeked out from the 3rd-story window. A group of men, all older than Damon, emerged from the house. They scanned the yard, arguing, pointing, pushing each other, then vanished. I didn't call the police. By morning, all the cars were gone. Damon never returned. Weeks passed. The lawn grew wild. Packages piled up on his porch. I asked around, but no one knew anything. No one else had heard the music that night, except me. Maybe I was paranoid, or maybe I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. Either way, since that night, I always lock every door, and I steer clear of any party I wasn't invited to. Sometimes the things that feel a little off are warnings we ignore. A hollow stare from a window. A soft noise behind the closet door. A party no one ever threw. Don't dismiss your gut instinct, because in this world, the scariest thing might be the one standing right behind you.